Hey, what's going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to Connected by Creatures tonight. Nathan is on his way. He should be here any second. Zach will not be here tonight. Zach is on a plane right now. He had some cancellations and some delays and stuff, and he won't be able to make it. But we will have a great show as soon as Nathan gets here. He's having a couple technical problems, but how is everybody doing? Uh, Good to see you guys. Hope everybody's been well. It's been a crazy week for me. Uh, before Nathan gets here and we get started with everything, I just want to give a shout out to my man Matt Cheney. I talked last week about the arm wrestling competition that was Saturday. It did not go as expected. My training partner Matt, in his third match, he wound up getting his humerus bone snapped in two, and we took him to the hospital to get all that worked out. He had surgery Wednesday, and they had to put a couple screws and a plate and everything in his arm. But after a little bit of rehab, Matt will come back stronger, and he's definitely still interested in everything, and he's going to be the guy to beat. Man, he's insane. What's up, Philip, Jamie, Lance, Mindy? Good to see all you guys. Thank you for being here. Um, like I said, hopefully Nathan gets everything worked out. He'll be in here in just a minute, and everything should get going good. If you guys have any questions while we're waiting on Nathan, go ahead and hit me with those. If there's anything that you guys want to talk about. So actually, right now, Lainey, my daughter, is leaving Children's Hospital. She had a little issue. She got her ears pierced, and apparently her cell growth is like superhuman, and her right ear ate the jewel on her new earring. So they had to cut that out today. And so Laney's leaving Children's Hospital right now from getting an earring cut out. So yeah, like I said, it's been crazy. Way too much time at the hospital this week. Lance, man, good to see you. Go Cougs. You guys go ahead and, man, no, it wasn't that her body didn't accept the jewelry. She just Yeah, Mindy, that's what I was saying at the beginning. I did compete in the arm wrestling competition. I didn't get to pull left-handed. My first match in the right-handed competition, I wound up losing, but it was a double elimination tournament. And when my training partner went to pull, he got his arm broke, and we took him to the hospital. So we didn't get to finish the tournament. Yeah, it was crazy. And it was the world champion Monster Michael Todd actually put a video out on his YouTube channel, and I'll send you a link. Matt didn't do anything wrong. He wasn't in a bad position. His arm just so much side pressure. He's just so damn strong. He broke his own arm, and but like I said, he'll be fine. He had surgery on it, couple screws, couple plate or a plate, and everything's gonna be good from that. Uh, Give me just a second, guys, and see. Here's Nathan. Nathan just got here. Nathan, what's up, man?
Hey man, sorry for all the hold up.
No, good to see you. I was explaining to everybody what kind of happened at the arm wrestling competition this week, and
Oh yeah, I want to hear the story about that.
yeah, so I've been super pumped up about it and everything, and been training, and got there. We made weight, did all that stuff, and the first match that I pulled, I wound up losing right-handed. And it was a double elimination tournament. Well, the guy that wound up beating me in the first round, he went on to win, but I didn't get to pull left-handed at all, and I didn't finish the tournament because my friend that I train with, his third match, he got his humerus bone snapped into.
Oh,
We took him to the
awful.
hospital, and he had to have surgery and everything. So, like I said, the tournament didn't go the way that we planned it. But dude's super tough. He had surgery. He had a plate and some screws put in, and couple months he'll be back on the table pulling again. So
Man, that was like the first thing that I thought of when I heard that you were starting this arm wrestling thing was just all those videos of, elbows popping out of joint and all that. So,
well, man, really, with Matt's injury, like I was saying before you got here, the world champion arm wrestler Michael Todd, he was there. He was the ref at the thing,
that's
and
legit.
he's from Arkansas, and he was putting on the event, and he put out a video on YouTube talking about it. Like, there never should have been a break. Like, Matt's arm, he like arm wrestling 101. You never want your hand to be outside your shoulder. Like that's the arm break position, and you never saw any of that. Like Matt didn't do
Huh.
anything. Dude literally told me at the hospital that he could feel his bone breaking and he wouldn't stop pulling. Like just crazy strong dude, crazy tough.
Man, some people are built different.
Yeah, man. And like I said, he can't wait to get back on the table. And you know, this dude entered 5 weight classes. Like, I mean, he's insane. Crazy 190 pounds, and he would have beat, 243 plus pound dudes, no problem. Like he's just crazy strong.
So they're not strict on keeping you in your weight class if you're game
Well,
to
you can
compete. You
always
can.
pull up.
Okay.
Like you can't pull down, but you can always pull
Yeah,
up.
that
Like
makes
I
sense.
pulled in the 198 pound class, and like if I would have wanted to go 242 or 243 and up, I could have. But you just can't go down.
Yeah.
But anyway, man. So how have you been? How's everything going?
Dude, great. We just got back from a trip last week, so much needed after kind of the last year and a half that me and the fiance went through. For
For
those of
sure.
you who don't know, I had an accident back in April 2019 lifting a barber chair and ended up hurting my back. Long story short, ended up getting a couple injections in my back that ended up causing some infection, ate away some of my disc space in my lumbar spine. So they had to go in and fuse my back in December. So it was a kind of a rough 2 years of going through antibiotics and then the recovery from the surgery. So it was our first trip in 2.5 years. So it was great. The only thing that was a little weird was got back home and had my second visit from animal control. So
Really, really.
yeah.
I've mentioned that I had that shit go on. The animal control thing happened. So, what was the second visit? If you're cool with talking about it and everything.
Oh yeah, totally cool with it. So first visit, we've been having some, days that get about 105 or so out here. So we had a little pool out in the front yard, and we're just relaxing out there. And we have a really old neighbor, and I'm pretty sure it was her who called. She told animal control the first time that we had 20-foot boa constrictors all around the house, and then we also had some alligators, and we're letting them swim around in the kiddie pool.
Yeah, I remember you talking about that.
Yeah, yeah. So, first time the officers came out, I told them what was up. I told them what I work with, and they opted not to come inside. And then the second time, I got the card from ended up being my buddy Don Belknap. He's a garter snake breeder out here in Utah. Brian Cusco and Dave Kaufman have all done little exposés on Don, but he ended up coming out. He talked to my neighbor. I guess her next complaint was that the snakes in the house were uh, making her lose sleep. So he kind of talked to her about like what the reptile hobby's all about. He kind of eased her fears, I hope, a little bit. And then, I mean, he parked in front of her house for a couple hours, hung out with me while I cleaned some snakes. We talked shop and all that, and everything seems to be good. I'm following all my local laws. I'm doing everything I can to be legit with it. So
For sure.
all you can
And
do.
man, that's one of those situations where like it sucks. Like I know from personal experience that it sucks,
Oh yeah.
to have animal control knock on the door, and because if nothing else, it's painful to you, or at least it was to me, because it's
Especially
like,
when you're
look,
trying so hard, man. I mean,
exactly, man. It's like we
yeah.
put so much time and so much effort and so much love into these animals, and then somebody who has no idea what they're talking about, what we're doing, like they're trying to take away something that we love and we cherish. That to me is it's an activity for my family, for my entire family. Like me, Katie, and Lainey, we all love
Yeah.
these animals. We all work with these animals, and like when animal control got called on me, the first thing that they said to me was I was selling illegal venomous animals out of my house. And I don't sell anything out of my house, number one, like nothing.
Yeah.
I've never sold an animal out of my house, ever. And then not
You're
only am I
talking just as
selling.
far as someone coming over and picking up a snake from you,
Right,
right?
right.
Yeah.
And I mean I've never even done that. And there's there's also I don't keep anything venomous.
Yeah.
And, I'm told that I have all these invasive, illegal, venomous animals. And like, what's crazy about it is, Arkansas's laws are pretty lax when it comes to venomous animals. Like, you can have most venomous stuff, and like they have some weird rules on the way that you can keep things and breed things. Like you're allowed to breed hyenas in your backyard, but you can't breed reticulated pythons.
That's
uh
yeah.
like crazy shit. You can breed black mambas, but you can't breed berms.
See, and it's
uh
the exact opposite out here. You can breed all of the pythons you want, but you can't touch venomous unless you're some kind of educational facility out in Salt Lake.
yeah, and I think all of it's just miseducation, but it hurts, man. Like it definitely pulls at you when
Yeah.
you're trying to follow the laws and do what you can do the best way that you can do it, and there's somebody that's just like rubbing your name and shit.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of things that I would change now after 5 years of keeping super dwarfer ticks, but as far as what I have available to me, I do the damn best I can by these animals. And so,
Right.
yeah, the first time, yeah, it definitely hurt, but the second time and after he came out and talked to me and we really hung out for a minute and kind of went over everything as I cleaned some animals. I realized it's not who I originally feared it was. We have some really cool neighbors that we don't talk to too much, but their kids come over and hang out with the snakes when we have them in the yard and stuff. So, I mean, I've liked to think that we've done some good with these animals, even just in our own neighborhood. But so we got confirmation that it wasn't from that family, so that was great. So really only left one other person, and I don't know what we're gonna do. I think we've talked a little bit about putting flyers together, trying to get the little street over to the house one night and maybe learn a little bit about the animals. But then again, I'm not sure if the affected party is really gonna show up or want to be open to
Right.
it. So it's just a weird area right now that we're trying to figure out the best way to go through it. I mean, we've been in this place for 5 years without issue, and I'm pretty sure that neighbor's been here the whole time. So I would love to smooth things over and have everyone happy, but world doesn't always work like that. But we'll try our damnedest, I guess.
And it sucks that we can't educate everyone, and
Yeah.
people aren't. There's some people who just aren't going to change their minds no matter what the evidence is, and no matter how obvious we can make it to them. But I guess on the upside of it is you did have that experience with animal control where they have been inside your facility. They know at this point that you're not doing anything wrong, and you're not.
Well, and I'm extremely fortunate. I think most people who may deal with this in our industry, they're not going to have that connection that I was fortunate enough to have within animal control. This is a guy that comes to all our local expos. He's someone I've talked to for years, and if I weren't familiar with him, I mean, I'm sure it would have gone pretty well. I mean, he knows his stuff when it comes to herps, but you know, if it were any other jurisdiction or any other person, they could they could treat it totally different.
Right.
Yep.
So, speaking of super dwarf reticulated pythons, uh, where are you headed right now? Like, what are you doing with your super dwarfs?
Yeah. So I kept a couple babies from my clutch. We had a clutch. My first clutch of anything ever last year was my super dwarf purple albino at the bottom. She's 75% Calatoa, 12.5% Gempea. Uh, Joe Hole and I, GI Joe Super Dwarfs. He sent me over a mail while he was out in Korea. He was 25% Calatoa, 25% Jamp, and give me a second because he has too much to name off. He is a Annery Golden Child Platinum Sunfire Tiger.
Jesus.
Yeah, so he threw all sorts of variety through the clutch. We got some really cool stuff. I kept a couple Golden Child Platinum Sun Tigers and was gonna raise those up. I may do a snow project with the mom or a sister to the mom later down the line because I have an Annery from the same bloodline. But I think this year we're aiming towards hopefully some Phantom albinos. I got a Phantom Tiger head, Poss head albino from Garrett this year after selling some of the babies, and yeah, just hoping to prove him out. Hoping that he goes this year because he's a little young, but we'll see. He's been getting some rabbits the last couple meals, so hoping he's ready.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got that lavender albino 100% het Annery male from Garrett, and man, that little guy, he just, I don't know, it's just different, man. Like, that's Katie Snake 100%. Like, she
Oh yeah.
she has hammered me since Tinley a couple years ago that she wanted a snake from Garrett, and like, I can say that every time we're around, like, Garrett and Katie always get along real well. Like, they always have something to talk about, and Garrett's a great guy. And so finally, that was the one that she wanted, so we got it. And man, like, just instantly drawn to that snake. Like, it has a great attitude. Like, it's, and Rob was giving me shit. Rob was like, "Man, this snake's an asshole," and I was like, "Good." Like, I want I
He's
want a
scared of
feisty.
all the babies, man. He can.
And I was excited because I wanted a feisty little one. Because to me, I think it's cute. Like, I
Yeah,
like breaking them down and taming them down and stuff. And it wasn't like, it got here, and like, that thing
he
is
was
just,
too easy.
I mean, it got me once, but like, I had just fed another snake and like didn't wash my hands or anything, and like pulled it out, and like it tagged me.
Yeah, it's
And
always our fault.
yeah, always. But like, as far as like, when everybody goes, like, that dude's so calm and chill, and like, once you get him out, like, as a baby, man, like, he's just so sweet. I don't know, man. Like, Garrett produces great animals, and I always love everything that comes from Garrett. And between you and Joe and Brian Farley and Kathy over there at Reptile Revival, like, I can't wait to see where all this super dwarf stuff is headed. Like,
Y- I feel the same way, man. I mean, I can't believe how fortunate I was to work with both Joe and Garrett throughout this first clutch. I mean, besides them, I had Richard Bilbo, who I've bought this Annery female from, and also, Garrett jokes he's Reach Out Reptile West. But
yeah,
I mean, Richard Bilbo's the reason that got me into Super Dwarfs just at a random little event here in Salt Lake. And, to have Richard and Joe and Garrett all behind me, especially when I was going through what I was going through, was huge. I mean, the content that Garrett has produced in terms of just helping a hobbyist breeder, a first time breeder get into this and successfully breed retics is amazing. I
Yeah.
mean, all that information is readily available to us. Anything that I wanted to know that I asked Garrett personally, I could have found in a video. So, I mean, the resources that we have available right now and the just the people in the super dwarf community have been nothing short of amazing. I mean, it's been great.
And I mean, with that being said, just not just the super dwarf community though, like the reptile community in general.
It's all
Like,
getting stronger. Yeah, it's less us against them, and it's a lot of collaboration that I'm seeing these days, and it's refreshing, man. Really is.
and I think that one of the biggest things, and I've harped on it before, and a lot of other people are harping on it too, is US art. Like,
Yep.
I don't give a damn if right now US Arc isn't, they're not fighting for the species that you keep, and they're not because there's not issues with that. And you're thinking, oh, I have ball pythons, these laws aren't affecting me, but they're going to. Like, if they can take away tegus and they can take away venomous snakes and they can take away big, pythons and stuff. Eventually, the ball pythons are going to come. The colubrids are going to
Yep.
come. Like, we're all in the same boat, man. And just because the guy down the street is actively fighting something, and it's not affecting you today, it's going to affect you later.
Yeah.
Like, we all got to back US art, man. Like, US art, we just need it.
Yeah, I would love to you know, be able to talk with people that are involved with US Arc a little bit more. I mean, even in Salt Lake, there's been bad eggs that have ruined it for the rest of us. I mean, there's a city out here that has a large constrictor ban just because one dude who likes to let his snakes free roam and take hold of his house has, you know,
Yeah.
given these snakes a bad name. So, I mean, and as far as what we can do, I mean, I teach at a barber school, a barber cosmetology school throughout the day, and I'm lucky in that sense that where I get to meet a lot of people and end up coming across people who, have little bearded dragons or ball pythons, corn snakes, whatever, just as a little pet for their kids or, and showing them how important US ARC is and trying to get those people involved, I think is going to be a big step in hopefully helping out the fight a little bit. I mean, I think it'd be cool to see US ARC being represented in every state, have
Yeah.
offices, and really be able to lobby it at a state level instead of just having to, it's pretty much a one man show right now. I mean,
Yeah. Phil.
yeah, Phil's doing everything, and you know, just looking out for Google hot words all the time, and fighting it himself. So I just think it'd be cool if we could get some support behind it, get at a state level.
Well, and honestly, what you were just talking about, like, I couldn't agree with you more. If we could get every, little household that has a bearded dragon or a leopard gecko, or, I don't care if it's a impulse buy that somebody bought from Petco. They got a little
Yeah.
leopard gecko from Petco. But if we could establish it to where those big chain dealers like that, those big places like Petco and PetSmart and all this bullshit, if every time they sold a reptile, not only did they give you your little bullshit care sheet, but they gave you a US Arc flyer, you know,
Or
like,
hey,
just
how about adding in that 15? How much is that bronze membership now?
I
thirty
can't
dollars
remember,
or
man. I bought
15?
that gold.
It's cheap. It's cheap. I mean, you could add that onto the price at any of these specialty reptile shops and
Yeah.
just educate your customers. I mean, there's so many little things that we could do to be, you know, helping them out. But I think, I'm in a lucky position where I come across so many people. So when I do meet these really, really small hobbyist people, I get to at least educate them. I can't say that every single one of them goes out and buys a US Arc membership, but at least they know.
And I mean, you're doing your part, you know,
Yep.
like that to me. You're doing everything that we all should be doing. You know, every time that any of us talk about the animals to people or try to educate people, we should talk about US art. Like, because, regardless of how you feel right now, they're the reason that we're able to do what we're doing. So,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, especially for what I do. I mean, I'm working with retics, whether they be super dwarf or not, they're under the same mainland laws. So,
yep.
I mean, Phil has done some amazing work in keeping the trade of retics flowing. I mean, back 6, 7 years ago, you couldn't buy across state lines. You had to find someone local to you. And if I wanted to get into super dwarfs, I would have had to be lucky to run into Richard and find someone working with him. But
Yeah.
you know, I'm glad to see that expanding though. There's a few guys here in Salt Lake within the Super Dwarf community that I've met through Garrett's Discord and stuff like that, and I'm just happy to see some guys that seem serious about it here in Utah getting into it because these animals are pretty underrated.
Yeah, they're amazing, man. Like,
Yeah.
they really are. So I'm looking behind you and I'm trying to figure out what kind of acoustic bass that is behind you.
Oh, it's a cheap old Dean, the good old camping bass. My fiance and I we met playing music together. We were both working at a guitar center call center back in the day,
Okay.
and also playing in a band. Her ex boyfriend was playing guitar, and the drummer whipped her away. But yeah, she still has all her bass equipment. She has a good old 8x10 Ampeg amp behind us, and we don't play it as much as we should, but uh, really the thing I would like to do is be able to get a bigger place so I can get my drums again because the snake cages took over where the old drum set was.
Well, I'll when we get off of the live, I'll send you a video. My electronic drum kit is in the kitchen right now.
What kind of kit do you have?
I bought a cheap ass Elise's kit just to
Okay.
have something to play in the kitchen.
No, I've had one of those before, but I play a lot of like hardcore and metal, and just some of the rolls that you try to do on those, the brain just can't pick
Yeah,
up, and it just kind of meshes
it,
together.
it,
It's
it definitely does. And
yeah,
like I had an old DW 9000 double pedal that I used
yeah,
to use back in the day, and like it the module head, the pad head just doesn't trigger it as fast as like you can actually play it. I mean,
yeah,
like you can do like uh like Pantera type Vinnie Paul like gallops, like you can
yeah,
do
yeah, for
those.
sure.
But like really, like if you tried to play like as Blood Runs Black or something like that, that's playing like 16th note triplets on the kick, it's just not.
Yeah. Well, and I mean any metalcore band there's going to be 16th note triplets. So I
Yeah,
mean you're yeah. So eventually after I mean I'm able to maybe expand the space a little bit and uh have a little fun money with everything I'm doing here. I think a nice rolling kit is in the works, but got to earn it.
man, those Rollins are so badass.
Yeah.
Like that's what I was telling Katie when I went to Guitar Center and bought this cheap kit that I got right here. Like they had one of the Rollins set up, and like I sat down and was playing with it for a second, and I was like, man, I don't even want to buy this other one
It
now.
just feels like playing. It almost feels like playing an acoustic set. It sounds close to as good.
Yeah,
Like
and I
you
mean, you
just
can
can't
put
get any
whatever
better.
heads you want to put on it. And
Oh, and then they came out. I mean, back when I was working at Guitar Center, they had just come out with those electric acoustic cymbals from Zildjian. So
oh yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
could play like a really quiet jazz or like club set and then you could also hook it up to your electronic kit and get the
Yeah,
real feel instead of just hitting those plastic things all day.
yeah. I mean, but for what I'm doing, like it works. You know,
Yeah, no, for
I'll come
sure.
in from work and I'm bored and like I sit down and just play something stupid for 15, 20 minutes and get it out of
Yeah.
my system and you know or like just to use that to like I have a one of my effects pedals for guitar, like it has a looper on it, like a 1 minute loop. So I can play like a just a real stock riff and then put like a stock drum beat over it. And then I can play leads over myself, So that's fun to me as a guitar player.
Yeah.
But so outside of the super dwarfs, are you guys working with any other reptiles? Do you have anything outside of your super dwarfs?
Before we got into super dwarves, we had ball pythons, a boa constrictor, but we just kind of focused up once we fell in love with super dwarfs. So no, not right now. Eventually in the future, I would really like to work with Varanus macraei or Varanus prasinus, the green and blue tree
Yeah,
monitors. So I mean, the fiance is not really stoked on that just because, as I mean, very well, lizards take a little extra work than the snakes do.
a lot of work, man.
Yeah, but that's kind of my holy grail of reptile. So that's what I'm working towards.
Yeah, dude, those greens, like they're so.
Oh, it's the blues for me. It's
Is
the
it?
blues all
See, I
day.
like the
Yeah,
greens, man.
yeah.
Uh, it's funny that you're saying that because Athena's out of her cage right now and like she's running around the house doing what she wants, and she's got this. Here, let me see if I can show you. She's got this
That's the
look.
iguana, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's got this look right now, like she's about to jump on my head at any time.
Will she make the leap from that far?
Hell yeah. Yeah,
Hey,
she has no issues about making that jump.
that's amazing. Yeah, I mean, I think part of my love for reptiles was growing up. I had a buddy who had a green iguana just around the same size as Athena, who just free roamed his house all day. And I mean, they had other stuff, sugar gliders and prairie dogs, and just they always had something weird over at the house. But that green iguana was the one constant thing, and I think that's what maybe sparked my initial interest in the reptiles.
I remember being a little kid, and like I've said before, my first ever reptile that was actually bought for me and accepted as a pet, not something that I caught and hid from my parents for a day and let it go, was a green iguana. And I still to this day say that green iguanas are not good first reptiles. They're
No.
they're not good pets. We have her because she's a rescue, and that's the only reason we have her. I mean, we love her now, but Katie talks about buying another iguana all the time, and I'm 100% against it. But
Or at least it's not as bad as it was in the 2000s, man. I mean,
right, right,
yeah.
for sure. But I can say that they are one of those animals that once you establish that thing with them, like there's so much personality to them that people don't see. Like if you keep them in some tiny little thing, like iguanas need a lot of room, like a lot of room, and if you don't let them have as much room, you won't see the personality in them. And when she had full range of the house before her and the dog decided that they're mortal enemies and we have to isolate them. So when it's Athena's time in the house, Major has to, do his thing somewhere else. When it's Major's time in the house, Athena has to be in her cage, and her cage is fucking huge.
So I know she has that indoor outdoor
Yeah,
enclosure. Does
yeah,
Major kind of cross paths with the outdoor part of that enclosure?
yes, and
And does that cause problems or
she
no?
just hates him.
Okay.
He really doesn't care about her very much.
I see.
Like, but
So
she
will
hates
she
it.
freak out
She
outside
doesn't
if
freak.
she's in her enclosure?
No, she doesn't freak out. She will look at him and stare him down and
Ah,
like almost entice him to come over there to her so she can pop him in the face with her tail.
yeah. Just
Like,
see if he'll
yeah,
he'll cross that line. All right.
yeah. And she's smart enough that she knows. Like she knows what he's doing and what he's all about. And it's so funny too. Cause like my mother-in-law has two teacup Yorkies. And she spent like fucking $10,000 on these dogs. And like these things are like this big,
Yeah, my
tiny
mom did the
little,
same thing with show poodles.
and they're you know she brings those things everywhere she goes. She has the little carrying crates, and if she leaves her house, the two dogs come with her. And sorry you can barely hear me. I'm trying not to blow everybody's ears out. I got a problem with doing that. But no, so those dogs are not allowed in the snake room, because right behind me I have two big snakes, and like they're right in the food range of these two snakes that are right behind me. And they don't come in here. Well, the other day, Katie came in here to grab something, and all of a sudden I hear just ruckus going on. And I turn around, and Athena was out of her cage, and she had came out into the living room because Katie left the door open.
Yeah.
And those two little dogs were barking at her, and she wasn't having that shit. Like, she owns this place, like this is her territory. Well, Major comes around, and she tries to pop Major, but she catches that little Yorkie. And dude,
Oh no.
that thing flew 25 feet across the living room. I swear to God. Like, she just popped his ass. And I grabbed Major and took Major outside and got her back in here. And I told Katie, I was like, Katie left the door open. Your mom's dogs were in here. And I was like, and that little boy just got hammered. And
You just got yeeted across the
dude,
room.
like, I'm talking flew. And it's so funny, man, because like she's looking at me right now with her head cocked, so she knows I'm talking about her. And but like it's so funny because that dog, like he wouldn't. Major came back in and came right to the snake room door, and he knew that she was out of her cage, and he wanted to come in here and see what was going on. That little puppy wouldn't come nowhere near that door. Like, he was done with the iguana. Like,
He knew what's up.
but yeah. But yeah, man, I don't. Last week we were talking about maybe Katie wants to get into Varanus as well, and
That's what I was gonna ask. Did you give the green light? Have you, I mean,
that's her green light, man.
the,
Uh, I
but she wants
and
something big, right? She doesn't want to go like the tree monitor route. She wants like water monitor or like something like that,
yeah, she
right?
wants to
Black
go Asian
throat.
water monitor.
Oh, Asian water monitor. Okay.
Yeah, she that's where she wants to go. And I told her, I was like, neither one of us are ready for a croc monitor. Like,
No.
I just I'm not there. I've been around them when I went to Nerd, and that's probably the only animal that I've ever like kind of been scared of. Like,
Real.
man,
Yeah,
you can
I
just
guess that makes sense. Did
like,
you get to have any time around the Cuvier's Dwarf came in or anything like that when
yeah,
you were out there?
dude, I rocked those things. Like,
Oh,
oh,
so okay. I mean, all right. I've never
it's
had an experience with either, so that
it's
says a
the
lot.
dude, it's the look in those croc monitors' eyes.
You
Like,
just know that
when I
they're thinking
stepped off
about
inside
everything.
that cage, like it looks at you, and you know that it knows every move you're fixing to make. Like, it's making cognitive thoughts of
Yeah.
where you're at and what you're doing. Like, it I honestly felt like it had a better understanding of the environment than any mammal I've ever been around. Look at this shit.
Hey, making her way.
I'm telling you, man, that lizard's crazy.
Yeah, but she's spoiled, and that's how she should be.
Oh yeah, she's spoiled. She eats better than I do. Like Katie went to the grocery store yesterday, and like I pulled out a bag, and it's like plums and mangoes and papayas and all this crap. And she was like, "That's Athena's bag." And I was like, "Okay, cool." I don't know if you saw those pictures that she posted with Athena's face all red, and like she gave
No,
her a
not yet, not
plum,
yet.
and dude, she just demolished that thing. Like, and we try not to. Oh, she's going home. Is what she's doing. She's climbing back in her cage.
That's cool. So the door is just always open when she's out.
Look, that's how smart she is. She knows to go home.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. I mean, you can't have any better feeling than that if your animal wants to go in its enclosure.
Yeah, and that's why we set it up the way that we did. Like I said, it's 7 foot tall, 6 foot wide, and 4 foot deep on the inside, and then you can open that window, and it's the same dimensions but 10 foot deep outside. So it's essentially 7 by 6 by 14.
Now, have you guys drawn up any plans for what a water monitor's enclosure would look like at your house?
Yes, and it's gonna have its own building outside.
Okay. I mean that makes a little bit more sense.
Yeah, I basically in the corner of my yard against the fence. Initially, there was a plan to just build a whole reptile facility out there, but there's kind of what I want to do now. There's going to be some rearranging. And basically, when we do decide to pull the trigger on the water monitor, I'm going to build like a 12 by 12 building out there. And then it'll have like a loft above it, and it's just going to be a big fucking air conditioned and heated uh, enclosure.
So I know your summers get pretty hot.
Yeah.
How do your winters get pretty cold?
Uh, for like a month.
Okay.
Like, I mean, last year doesn't count because last year was insane for everybody.
Yeah, we
Uh,
got yeah.
like
I mean,
with Texas and Louisiana and everywhere getting crazy snowstorms. We got like 22 inches of snow in Arkansas, and that shit just don't happen, man. But yeah, like right now, every day, right here where I'm at, the heat index is over 110 every day.
yeah, that's what I heard on the last podcast, and
And
man, that's miserable.
normally in winter, like oh, she's pissed. The window's not open for her to go outside, and she's mad.
Hey, if you need to open it, go open it, brother.
Katie just got home from the hospital, so they can open it.
Is that where she works?
No, you missed
Oh,
that
okay.
too. My
Oh, no, no,
daughter,
no, no, I didn't. How's Laney? I saw the ear.
it's good. They just had to numb it and put a little slit in it and get the jewel out. Like,
Oh, jeez.
yeah, Lainey told the doctor straight up. She was like, "Yeah, I'm basically like an X-Man. I just have super healing abilities." And like her ear just ate the fucking
So
earring.
did she just get pierced?
Yeah, I'm a firm believer in like letting kids choose what they want to do with their bodies.
Oh,
And
sure.
when she was little, like my mom and them and Katie, they all wanted to get her ears pierced, and I was like, "It's not your fucking body, it's hers." And when she decides she wants to pierce her ears or color her hair, or get a tattoo or whatever she wants, like I'll back her. But we're not gonna jab holes in her
You
because
want to hear that thought come from her.
yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that.
Yeah, and like I have I guess I have a weird style of parenting. Some people would probably tell me that I'm wrong in how I parent. Like, I don't lie. I've never lied to Lainey about anything. Like, if she's old enough or mature enough to ask me a question about something, we're gonna have the conversation. Like I'm not gonna fill her full of bullshit. Like babies don't come from storks and shit like that. Like, you know, where if you're having thoughts about something, then you're obviously old enough to try to understand it. And I would much rather have a real conversation than you talk to somebody, one of your friends or something, and get a fucked up, skewed, you know, weird
Yeah.
view. And
Yeah.
also, I've always been like, anything she wants to talk about is okay, and there's nothing that's embarrassing. There's nothing that I'm going to get upset about, nothing that's wrong. And I've always been like that because I want her to feel comfortable. Like if there was some fucked up shit that happened, I want her to be able to talk to me about it. Or,
Yeah,
no
for
matter what it
sure.
is. If she's having shitty feelings about herself or about something, I want her to be able to talk to me about it, and like very open and understanding. And, some people might be like, well, you shouldn't talk to your kids about this, that, and the other. I don't lie to my kid about anything. Like my kid knows that I was a drug addict. My kid knows that, she knows that there's nothing off limits to talk about. Like, and at any time she's dealing with something in life, like we can sit down and talk about
Yeah. Yeah, man. That's what I would have liked out of a parent.
it. Yeah,
So
me
I
too.
can't fault you at any part of that.
But so
But yeah, her ears. How long ago did she get pierced? I
I
want to
think
hear the story because I used to really want to do body modifications
hey,
as
how
a
long
job.
ago was it that Laney got her ears pierced? 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Okay, so yeah, it just seems like did she get it done at like a Claire's or something like
Yes.
that?
And
Yeah.
I wasn't there. I wasn't involved. And like I've got
No,
friends that
it's just the stuff that they use, man. So usually what they pierce you with it's something like that is one of those plastic machines that just has
with
the
the
jewelry
staples.
on it and they squeeze it together.
Yeah,
And the problem with those is, it's blunt force trauma to your ear. It's not an easy way to pierce your ear.
right.
So, yeah,
And like
that
I've got friends that are, tattoo artists and piercers. And like at one point in time, I looked for somebody to apprentice me to be a piercer. And like, it just never came to fruition. And I've always said, I was like, man, Laney, whenever you want to get your ears pierced, we'll go and we'll get it done at the tattoo shop by a professional piercer. And it just so happened that she went to Florida to see my sister. And while she was down there, she decided she wanted to get her ears pierced, and they took her to Claire's.
yeah. No, no, I mean it's where everyone kind of default thinks, hey, that's where I'm gonna go get
Yeah.
my daughter's ears pierced. I mean,
And it's so much better. Like it's such a sharper utensil, to use
yeah.
an actual piercing needle. And I guess people think about the quickness, but
Hmm.
like the pain is less using something sharper, And
Yeah.
that's kind of what I tried to explain when Laney got back. I was like, it might seem scary to have this needle and put in, but it doesn't hurt as bad because
Well,
that thing's so sharp and
Well,
designed.
even more than that, I mean, it's also the environment. I mean, a
Yeah,
Claire's or whatever in the mall is a lot more inviting to a little girl than
right.
a tattoo shop full of burly tattooed guys. So
Well, I don't know.
I definitely understand why it
She's been
happens, but
raised around burly tattooed guys,
yeah, that's true. That's true.
and she honestly has way more in common with the burly tattooed guys than the Claire's environment. Like
Hey,
she
I
doesn't
admire
want to
that.
talk about how cute and pretty something is. She wants to. I mean, like she told the doctor, she's talking about X-Men and sci-fi shit, and she. If it had something to do with a comic book or some anime or what animator did this, and she'd be all in.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But man, we've been talking for 50 minutes. I wanna do our segment.
Hell yeah, let's do it.
I know you're a musician and love music as much as I do. So give me
Absolutely.
your band or musician of the week.
Yeah, so I'm gonna give you guys one that I had a hard time getting into, but he got me over a lot of stuff this last few months, and I've just really grown to appreciate his music. It's a dude who goes by the name Bill Murray. It's spelled Bilmuri.
Never heard of him.
He's done a lot of cool music. He's a break off member from Attack Attack, an old
Okay.
metalcore band.
Yeah, I know who Attack Attack is.
Yeah, so Johnny Frank from Attack Attack, he ended up forming this band. He does a lot of I'm trying to think of how I could describe the music. It's a lot of like ah I can't say hardcore because it definitely is not. It's like kind of some poppy rock with some like country style breakdowns.
Okay.
Yeah, so he does a lot of cool stuff. He did a cool live set that I've been listening to the last little while, and it just kind of happened that uh, when my uncle passed away, I was listening to that live set. So that's what I've been jamming on the last little bit. How about you?
So this week, man, for some reason, I've been listening to a lot of Gary Clark Jr.
Okay.
Uh, like, and it's kind of funny how it came about. Like, we were doing some cleaning in the garage, and my mother-in-law had a box of CDs, and one of them was a Gary Clark Jr. burnt CD that was just like a compilation of different stuff. And I started listening to it, man, and like I've known who Gary Clark Jr. was for a long time,
Yeah.
but just like listening to it, like I added it all to my playlist, and like I mean, dude's talented, man. Like he's a badass.
All right. Your answer sparked another answer in me. Another one I've been listening to this last week. The guy I'm fortunate enough to been able to see live was Buddy Guy.
Oh
Buddy Guy was also
yeah,
like, I mean, we were going through some covers of Ain't No Sunshine from Michael Jackson back when he was a kid to some more current stuff, and then we came across Buddy Guy's version, and man, like besides the
so
original, I don't know, there's much better.
uh, when we went to Tinley, and every time we go to Tinley, Chicago is the home of Buddy Guy,
Yeah.
and so like I always wake up and play Buddy Guy music. I'm in Chicago. I gotta listen to Buddy Guy, and I've always wanted to go to Buddy Guy's bar. That's right. He's got like a bar and grill restaurant
I'm gonna
right
grab a
there.
beer. Just 1 second. Sorry, I'm still able to hear you though.
No, you're good. Right down in downtown Chicago, Buddy Guy has a bar, grill, restaurant type thing. And I've always wanted to go to it because like they talk about, at random times he would show up and hang out with, the patrons of the bar and everything. And like they always have some badass blues musician playing.
Yeah.
And, not far from me is Memphis. And like Memphis in May, you've always got badass blues musicians on Beale Street. Like you got BB King's place on the corner. Heard Joe Bonamassa play there. Like badass musicians. And I got to see Buddy Guy on Beale Street one time. And there's very few people that in that world are at that level of Buddy Guy. Yeah, don't get me wrong. There's tons of badass blues musicians. Like tons of them. I think somebody who doesn't get enough credit is Eric Gales. Like he's a badass. Uh,
Eric Gales. I'm not
yeah,
I'm not gonna say that name's super familiar to me.
I got to go to a Guitar Center session with him one time, and oh my god, insane. Uh, but yeah, seeing Buddy Guy play live. I mean, he's only like 486 years old when I was watching him play
You're not lying, man. When I went out to see him a few years ago, I was like, is he gonna be able to stand through this set? Like, is it gonna be 30 minutes and we're out of here? Like, what's gonna go on? Because dude's in his like mid to late 90s now,
live.
and he had more energy than most of the show. I mean,
Yeah, dude.
he was talking shit through it, like. Oh, he's amazing. He's
Yeah, I
amazing.
mean,
If anyone ever gets the chance to go see Buddy Guy, because he still tours his ass off,
and he's
go
a
see
thousand.
Buddy Guy.
His wrinkles have wrinkles.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you said, he's a badass. I mean, you
Yeah.
damn right I got the blues from my head down to my shoes. Yeah, great, great. Uh, movie, TV show. What you watching?
Oh, movie, TV show. Man, I'm gonna probably stick away from TV shows. I'm more of a podcast guy.
There you go.
So I'm just watching comedy all the time. I'm a big Your Mom's House podcast with Tom
You and Katie
Segura
be
and
best
Christina P.
fucking friends.
Oh yeah, all right.
Yeah, Katie watches that shit religiously. Like,
You're not into the YMH, huh?
oh yeah, I mean, I like it. It's funny, but
Yeah.
like I don't know. Katie's kind of burnt me out. Like she watched, she's seen every episode and a lot of them multiple times. Like if me or Laney's not in the room or not in the living room, or like if Laney's doing something in her room and I come home from work, like that's what's on the TV in the living room is the YMH. Like Katie
You guys
watches.
got to be careful because yeah, they go hard on YMH.
Oh man, like I
Well,
said,
I guess I mean without how you guys raise Lainey, it doesn't matter anyway. She's gonna
yeah,
hear what she's gonna hear.
she knows, and she censors herself. Like she knows what she wants to hear and what she doesn't, and she'll just walk out of the room if it's something she
Huh.
doesn't want to hear.
That's funny.
Yeah. And what's crazy about, even in that sense with Lainey, like what's crazy is she's such a good kid. Like, there's been times where like, you know, I've been like, Lainey, I'll give you $20 if you tell that person that's bullshit. Like just do something that's not great and right.
Like out of
Break a
character, yeah.
rule. It's okay to break a rule. And she won't do it. Like she's a great kid. And I, when she was real little, she kind of developed this thing, and like this was before, this was when she was too young to have certain conversations, but she's always been so smart, and she's always like, had this personality and this character that when she was talking about things that might be risque, before I even thought she was old enough to understand what might be risque, like you're talking a little kid, and like she just picked up these nuances from people as a little kid. She would say shit out the side of her mouth, like she's like, it was so funny. And I remember, the movie 50 First Dates with
Yeah, absolutely.
okay, so Lainey was little, like she was little, like 3 maybe, and it gets to the part where like they've been on a few dates and like they're down under the aquarium and like the dolphins right there and shit, and like they're kissing, and Lainey like just looks up, and this little bitty like 3-year-old kid, and she goes, "They're gonna have it," and I was like, "Huh?" I was like, "What? Like, nobody's having any. What are you talking about?" And like the conversation just kind of stops for a second, and then like he kisses her again in the movie and pushes her down. She goes, "Yep, they're gonna have it." And I was like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" And it's so
She's
funny.
about to give you the birds and bees.
Yeah, and I'm like, "Oh, we've never no, But yeah, she's a great kid, man.
That's awesome.
But
Anything
so
you're watching right now?
no, I don't know what she's doing.
Well, no. Because we were on the subject of what
Oh,
we've
yeah,
been
yeah, yeah.
watching, movies or TV shows.
So they just released like 2 days ago. They released this new UFO undisclosed thing on Netflix, and
Okay.
there's like several episodes. I've watched the first 2. The first episode was about Project Blue Book, and like they released some information on Project Blue Book. And there's another episode that's coming that's like Russian secrets, like Russian disclosed stuff. And I mean, I'm a big alien nerd. Like before it was cool to talk about aliens before it was accepted to talk about aliens and UFOs and stuff. Like
Oh,
I,
sure.
I would get in those disclosure chat rooms and shit back in the day, and
Yeah.
like hear all these wild ass theories and this crazy shit. And you know, like I love. If have you ever seen the my recommendation for people to watch is The Fifth Kind. Have you ever seen The Fifth Kind?
Is that the one that was shot almost like documentary style as interviews?
It's it's Stephen Greer, and
I want to say I saw it. It was in like the early 2000s, right?
I think it came out like last year.
All right. I'm thinking of a totally different movie.
uh Maybe 2 years ago, but
Okay.
it's basically like you've got Close Encounters of the First Kind, Second Kind, Third Kind, Fourth Kind, and now like it's the fifth kind. And an encounter of the fifth kind is when like you, through manipulation of thought patterns, reach out to extraterrestrials and draw them to you and have an encounter.
Huh.
And like it's pretty interesting shit. The fifth kind. It's on Amazon. One of the channels at Amazon, but check out Stephen Greer, Fifth Kind.
Okay. Have you ever watched The Secrets of Skinwalker Ranch?
Hell yeah!
Yeah, so that's only like an hour 15 north of me. So,
I would love to see some of the shit they talk about that goes down in Skinwalker Ranch.
well, they have
Like,
that season 2 that's coming out, and I'm excited about that. So once that hits Hulu, I'll be over all over it.
yeah, man, and like I love. I think my favorite thing about the Skinwalker Ranch stuff is the like the Native American take on it. You know,
Yeah,
like it, because I think that, and I say this shit all the time, and people are like, they take it with a grain of salt, and you definitely should. But if you watched my when I did Searchable as Reptiles with Brian and Garrett, they asked me if there was anybody that I could meet, and I said that I would love to talk to someone from like ancient Egypt, because I think there's information and knowledge that people had a long time ago that we've lost, whether it was lost in translation or was purposefully taken and hidden from the masses. Like I think there's knowledge and information, and some of the stuff that people in ancient societies were seeing, like I wish I could have that encounter. I wish I could see some of that shit, because like even if it was, even if a lot of what they talk about was imagined, what sparked that imagery, like what gave you the idea to have this image?
yeah.
And like,
Or what was their society really like? What were their
yeah,
tools really like? How'd they construct? I mean, there's so much that would be so interesting to learn.
yeah, I mean, and I love that type of stuff. And you know uh I love picking things apart. And like there's when you say certain words, like certain words evoke certain responses. And like you say a word like dragon, and people automatically jump to certain whatever conclusion when you say the word dragon. But then when you say, well, the word dragon is mentioned in the Bible multiple times, they're like, oh, well, that just meant this, and that meant that, and that meant this. Well, it also implies the word serpent. And when they say serpent in the Bible, they're not talking about a snake like you think of a snake. It's interchangeable with the word dragon.
Oh, sure.
And they're like, oh, you're just taking about, you're full of shit. And and it gets cut off right there. And I love the thought of just things being open, like being able to have an open thought. And like that whole Skinwalker, the Skinwalker Ranch shit, like some of the things that they've said that they've experienced there, and like different types of uh whether it be audio or a visual thing that people are having, or just the feelings. Like,
I
dude,
mean,
I've been,
honestly, some of the visual stuff that they caught on camera just for that show is, I mean, some of the most convincing visuals of UFOs that I feel like I've ever seen.
yeah, for sure.
I
And
mean,
I mean, I think one of the reasons I would like to go there is because there's been places in my life where nothing happened. I didn't see anything. I didn't hear anything, but I just got a weird fucking feeling in certain places, like a very ominous feeling that what's up, Chris?
oh, I haven't even looked at these comments yet.
Yeah,
I need to see what's going on.
Chris just stopped in and see it, stopped to say hello to two of my boys in a badass shirt, Nathan.
I wore it just for you, my big boy.
But no, man, like, there's been places that I've went to and almost in search of certain things and didn't see anything, didn't feel anything, but or didn't, hear anything, but had that feeling, that ominous presence of something doesn't want me here. Like, I'm not supposed to be here.
Yeah.
Something's looking at, and like I feel like a place like Skinwalker Ranch, like you definitely have to have some type of pressure, feeling something in that area.
Just living so close to it and then seeing that, like, I that's one of those places that I'm like, I'm good. I don't even need to drive past it. Like, I've seen enough.
Chris just said watch the new UFO declassified series on it. That was my show of the week, Chris. That's what got us talking about this.
You know, for this whole bill that came out in the Senate where they're supposed to declassify all this stuff on UFOs, we were really let down, man.
Dude, it broke my heart. Like, I really thought there was gonna be some cool shit in there.
Come on, I need to know about those grays.
I don't even give a fuck. Like, they don't have to tell me specifics. Like, you don't have to tell me that there's grays or the
Yeah,
reptilians or the Aryans or whatever different species of extraterrestrial. Just tell me beyond a shadow of a doubt that there's intelligent life elsewhere, and I'm good. But at the same time, when you make a claim like that, like, there's so many implications with religious implications and mass hysteria and mass paranoia, and the control goes away. Like, I
well,
mean,
there's other good points that have been brought up on some of this stuff as far as like some of these declassified UFO videos, like that little Tic Tac video that you see through the radar. I mean, I've
yeah,
heard about it possibly being
the Nimitz
you.
shit.
It could possibly be China or Russia. You know, you never know what other people are building. I mean,
Yeah,
you don't know what our own country's building, for
right.
Christ's sake. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, it could be
So
American.
yeah,
you know.
yeah. But
Oh,
yeah, I mean, it's interesting nonetheless. I mean, it's always it brings that sense of wonder that we used to have as a kid. I feel like I think that's the biggest connection with UFOs or anything paranormal. I think it's just that
cryptids.
sense of wonder that we all kind of crave.
Yeah. And honestly, like, you can say that I'm fucking naive or immature, but I strive to hold on to that sense of wonder. Like,
Oh
I don't
yeah.
want to lose that shit.
No, I mean
I don't want to be
that
that
was the best
cynical
part of
ass
being a
old dude.
kid.
Well, I done seen it all and heard it all, and there ain't a damn thing out there I ain't seen. Fuck you. The Loch Ness Monster's real.
Yeah, if you know everything, what the hell's the point of
Yeah,
life? Like,
Bigfoot
I mean,
molested my
yeah.
uncle. Fuck you. It happened. I'm from Arkansas. Legend of
He
Boggy
saw it,
Creek.
I tell you, damn
Yeah.
it.
Legend of Boggy Creek, Falk, Arkansas, is right down the road. My sister and your uncle used
Man.
to live there. I've been to
Oh,
Monster Mark, motherfucker. They got in Falk, Arkansas, for real. They have the one bookstore, and the only book that they sell is the Legend of Boggy Creek.
no way. All
Yeah,
right.
they have Monster Mart where you pull up and, like, outside they have this fucking huge Bigfoot.
Hey, you got to make money where you can. If your town's known for that, hey,
Dude,
market the
if
shit
if
out of
I
it.
lived on Loch Ness, don't think for a second I wouldn't be selling Nessie everything.
Yeah, yeah.
But hopefully, I would have seen that shit.
I mean, as a kid growing up, one of the first horror movies I saw was Lake Placid, so I was for sure that there were giant crocodiles over in Lake Placid.
So, Lake Placid uh, wasn't one of the first horror movies but the first horror movie that I saw had the same premise, and it was called Alligator, and it was like
Okay.
this cheesy ass '70s movie where this kid wins an alligator at like a carnival or a fair, and his mom doesn't want him to have it and flushes it down the toilet. And it just fucking lives in the sewer system and gets huge and huge and huge, and then it starts eating motherfuckers in downtown New York.
Oh, that I mean, that's the classic. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm sure Chris could chime in and tell us all the old wives' tales on gators in the sewers or crocs in the sewers. But I mean, my dad's from New York. He was always talking about that shit. There's gators in the sewers. I mean, yeah. I mean,
fucking rats the size of cheetahs.
yeah, yeah. They'll eat your dog. All that.
I believe it. I love it. Aurora said there could be an underground society here on Earth separate from everyone else who have already created crazy space flight tech. We have no idea what's really going on. I love that
Yeah.
shit. I love it. I hope that there's these big fucking underground bunkers and there's all kinds of crazy shit that lives there. And I hope that there are interdimensional beings that, like, if you have sleep paralysis and that crazy shit that you see, like, I'm real into like astral projection and lucid dreaming and shit like that. I love it. I've got books and books and books on that shit. Like, I'm all about getting outside of myself. And,
Yeah.
all we are is fucking energy. Like, that's everything's, we're made, the fucking chemicals and the atoms that make us up is the same shit that the stars are made out of. We're all just one big God and universe and everything ourselves. Fuck what everybody says. It's all real. Bigfoot molested my uncle.
Well, that actually brings up a funny story that one of my students just told me not too long ago. Have you ever heard of the Greenbrier bunker?
Yes.
I mean that was a an old wives' tale for years that there was this bunker that during the Cold War that they were gonna send all the top Washington officials down into, and
Yeah.
I mean, when it got declassified years later, it turns out everything's real. They
Yeah.
have, news sets that's supposed to look like cities so that they can still have news programming and make it look like everything's normal. And it's absolutely within the realms of possibility that there's a lot of just crazy technology that we don't know about. So,
Well, yeah, and like how many, I can't remember how many years behind we were like with the stealth bomber. Like, it was
yeah,
invented and like actually made like fucking 20, 30 years before we knew it existed.
yeah.
You know, it 30 years from now, like right now you've got fucking what's his name, Elon Musk, with his Neuralink
Yep,
shit,
yep.
trying to and I'm not gonna lie, I'll fucking
Zuckerberg's
sign,
trying to do the same shit.
dude, I'll sign up
Zuckerberg's on that same
tomorrow
route.
if I can have just 100% bandwidth straight to my brain for the internet. I'll sign up tomorrow. Like, I
Oh
really
yeah,
will, because
just the ability to speak other languages
yes,
or to be able to understand other languages is immensely valuable. So
dude,
I mean, just for
you would
that
be the
alone,
ultimate polyglot. Like, you would have
yeah,
every language
yeah,
right there.
yeah,
And
and no effort in learning it,
no,
but
and
just
you would
it
be
being there.
the greatest barroom trivia guy of all time. If somebody'd ask a question, be like, what year did the fucking cinematographer of Rambo 3, what year was he born? And you'd be like, 1907.
But at the same time, you have to wonder what ramifications of something like that is. I mean, we're already so bored with all the information that we have at our fingertips. What
Insanity.
the hell is the consequence of knowing everything, you know?
Yeah, you'd commit suicide because,
Yeah, just it's Jonestown, but the whole world.
yeah,
We all drink the Kool-Aid.
we've all already drank the Kool-Aid, man. Like that's the thing. Like people, society as a whole, you can. It's so funny to me. Like I find it comical because I'm not super political. Like I don't give a fuck about Democrats and Republicans and all that bullshit.
Yeah, I try
My
to stay
thing,
away.
my thing is love the motherfucker next to you and
Hmm.
mind your business. Like it doesn't make a fuck to anybody in my house what the neighbors are doing inside their house. Like is that long as they're not hurting me or my family, I don't care what they're doing. You cannot govern morality. Like if this person wants to do something and this person, as long as they're not hurting or taking, then fuck it. It's none of my business.
Yeah, I think the only way I were to ever get involved in something is if I see one, animal abuse, or two, child abuse, and that would have to be
Yeah,
like something
that's what
I
I'm
see
saying.
with my own eyes. But I mean, beyond that, like, yeah, live your life.
Mind your
Be
fucking
happy. I
business.
mean, I'm not gonna step on you if you're not gonna step on me. So,
Yeah, and I guess like I just see so many people, man, and they get so fired up about hot button issues. Like, just
yeah.
this hot topic issue that really means nothing. Like
Well, I
it
think
doesn't.
everyone wants to be heard, and I get it, but like, be authentic with it. I mean, I get that the hot button issues are what you can get noticed on really quick, and your opinion can be heard, and everyone has their own opinion on it. But at the same time, it's just like you're not doing anything new.
No.
You're not being authentic. You're not coming from a place that where you really care about it. Like you care about other shit way more about than
And like
politics. Come on.
on both sides of arguments, like motherfuckers don't do any research.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's so funny because like people throw out this bullshit that is negated in 5 seconds and they're like, yeah, but the other guy, he didn't read. Well, motherfucker, you didn't either. Like, ah.
Yeah, I
Anyway,
mean, you just have to know that, like, I, I mean, any place that you're trying to get your information from on that kind of stuff, they're working to divide us. I mean,
yeah, everything's division.
the only thing that's getting clicks is the controversial stuff. So, I mean, they're trying to force this strong opinion one way or another, and
Yes.
you just got to be strong enough to realize, hey, like, take a little bit of this, take a little bit of that,
Oh bullshit.
try to get the real information, but I mean, if it's not personal to you, like, why speak out on it?
And why get so angry? Like, who cares?
You
Like,
know,
turn.
there's people I know that are still ranting and raving about COVID all day and every
Oh,
day.
me too.
I've had an uncle just recently who passed away after a 6 month battle with COVID. You know, I have a reason to bitch about it, but at the same time, like I know the information. I know if I'm safe or not. Like, like I just I don't see the need in adding my voice to the conversation. You
Well,
know,
and
it's
my thing with COVID is make a make a reasonable decision. Make the best
yeah,
decision that you can for you and your family.
sure.
And you make that decision for you and your family. Don't
Yeah,
worry about what this guy's doing, what they keep you and your family safe.
yeah,
You do what's best for you and shut the fuck up.
yeah.
To me, it's that
Exactly,
simple.
exactly. I mean,
And
most of
people get so up in arms about that shit. And like I said, from
yeah,
both sides, like, and I get in these arguments with my dad all the time because, like, my dad will fucking and like I said, I'm not one side or the other, like at all. And my dad will fucking get on these rants about shit, and I'm like, hey man, take 5 seconds and look at something with me. Let's look at something. And he'll read it and he'll be like, well, that makes sense. I'm like, yeah, guess where that information came from? And he's like, I don't know. I was like, well, it didn't come from Fox News and it didn't come from fucking CNN.
yeah,
And he's like, oh, did it come from NPR? No, motherfucker, it didn't come from NPR. And like, get away from all that shit. If you
Yeah.
want real news, go to Infowars.com. Alex Jones.
They're turning the frogs gay, people.
No, man, just I think people get so upset about stuff for no reason.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's all division. You know,
Yeah.
everything is based on dividing people. Like they don't want me and you to have this conversation. They want me and you to hate each other. You know,
Yeah,
they don't.
absolutely. We come from very different walks of life, but we have, I mean, we're connected by creatures.
Yeah,
So, yeah, I mean, they can't stop that.
no, fuck no. But that's what US Arc's for. Back to US Arc.
Yeah, yeah, everyone
Everything comes full
go make
circle.
sure. Yeah, I mean, on the opposite side of the division, I want to ask, are you going to Arlington?
Yes, most definitely.
Okay. Okay. So you and everyone else who may be in the chat, I mean, this is going to be my first NARBC. Uh, I want to see all of you. I want to meet everyone. I want to have some good conversations. Fuck, I want to go get drinks with you guys after.
Definitely.
So, I mean, I'm just excited as hell for next month. I'm
Yeah,
excited to meet you in person, Bradley. Excited
most definitely.
to see Zach in person. So, yeah, man.
Yeah. Man, on that note, thank you for coming on doing this. It's been a great time. Thank you everybody that's been in the chat and talked to us. Uh Definitely if you're at Arlington, if you're at any show, man, anybody come up to me, talk to me. Me and
Please.
Katie love that shit. Like we want to talk to everybody there. We try to talk to as many people as possible because even and I'm not saying that like, you know, come talk to me, I'm cool. Like come talk to me. Like I want to hang out with you. Like I want to talk to everybody.
No,
Like I
I just
love
want to
meeting
make new
people.
friends, man. No,
Yeah, exactly.
I
Like
don't
I
think
want to
I'm
talk to
shit in this
everybody.
industry yet. I haven't earned my place, but I just
And
want to build those connections.
yeah, man, that's honestly the whole reason that I wanted to start doing this stuff. Like it's the whole reason I wanted to do the social media thing, the whole reason I want to do YouTube and all that. It has nothing to do with me thinking that I have more knowledge or I'm cooler than anybody or people should listen to me. I want to meet people. Like I love meeting people that have interest in things that I'm interested in. Like I love having conversations. Dude, I could talk about anything all the time.
So
And like I love
I
to.
want to add one thing just kind of on that note. Anyone in this industry, I think we really take for granted what we have.
Yeah.
I'm a barber by trade, and that came before the reptiles. I teach barbering now. I absolutely have a passion for cutting hair, making people feel good about themselves. The difference I see between the barber industry and the reptile industry, especially now, is this reptile industry is so inclusive. People want you to be here. People want you to be a part of it. People want you to grow. You
Yeah.
need to take advantage of that because there's other industries that you could be passionate as hell about, but people will try to keep you down because it's the us versus them mentality. You know, in reality, with barbering, there's enough heads to go around to make your business work. But it doesn't always work out like that in the barbering community. So just don't take for granted what we have here because we have one hell of a community right now. We have people that are backing you harder than they've ever backed anyone else. So, you know, the most we can do right now is just, show our support to US Arc, show our support to one another, build each other up and just pump each other up because rising tide's gonna float all ships. And, I just love being a part of it.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
can't say anything better, man. That's uh again, thank you all. Share this, share Nathan's name. Go check out all of Nathan's stuff, Instagram, Facebook, and talk to the guy. It's a cool ass guy. Uh Talk to me, please, because I'm bored all the time. Love you
Hey,
all.
thanks, man.
And thank you for being here and love everyone who feels connected by creatures. See you next Friday. Later.
Hey, see you guys.